Hello and welcome back to the podcast, and I want to share something this episode, something that really hit me this bank holiday weekend because it highlighted to me just how much has shifted in my own journey of moving away from people pleasing and just like this sense of feeling free to just be me and how amazing it felt. And it came about when I did my first shift of volunteering for Blink Mental Health at Creamfields Festival. So Blink Mental Health provide a wellbeing space and free therapy services within various festivals across the UK. When I found out about them, I thought, what an amazing thing and a powerful way to take therapy to people where they're at and, you know, where they might be feeling deeply, going through all sorts of things, and also just to provide therapy or a wellbeing space where there might be the sort of festival where it's not really expected. Now, Creamfields, if you don't know, I think I'm right in saying is one of the biggest like musical festivals in the country, like dance music. And before I went, I envisaged like buzzing atmosphere, bass thumping, people everywhere in every possible state you can imagine, probably people a lot younger than me. So I knew I was sort of expecting, I knew it would be like alive, but intense and chaotic and just a lot. I'd never volunteered at a festival before. I'd never been to before. I'd never worked with this charity or met anyone who'd be there. And yeah, I still signed up for it. And the reason that is such a massive thing, well, maybe you already know what I'm going to say, but it's because past me would never have considered doing it. And it wasn't just about the volunteering or the festival itself. It was all the things that come with it. So going to a massive festival alone, for a start, navigating there, trying to find my way around there when I'm there, because my sense of direction is famously terrible. And I honestly don't know how I survived festivals back in the day when I was drinking as well. And because I always do lose my bearings wherever I am, even places I've sort of been a few times. Anyway, I was going off on a tangent. But yeah, there was also the layer of like the uncertainty of having to provide therapy in a totally different environment with no prior background info on the people I'd be seeing, you know, surrounded by the noise, the chaos, just unpredictability all around. And then also compounding that, like meeting all new people, fellow volunteers, people who've done it before, spending hours with them without knowing anyone in advance, not knowing what people liked, what they were going to be like. And old me, past me, would have been spiraling for days before I'd probably have a whole plan mapped out of how I was going to navigate it all. I'd have been stressing about what do I wear? Maybe I should message the WhatsApp group and check what everyone else is wearing. But then I'd think, they'll think I'm being too much, I'm too anxious, or think I'm being dramatic asking. I would have had thoughts like, what if I don't know what to say when I'm in the group or to people? What if I say something awkward to the volunteers? What if I don't fit in with them? What if they're already like a cliquey group and I'm on the outside and feel different? And then the other side of like, what if I get lost? Which, you know, probably a more realistic fear. But on top of that, what if I look like an idiot? What if I get lost and look like an idiot? And then I'd have spent the entire time probably afterwards, after the volunteering and being there, replaying and cringing at every little thing I'd said, every attempt to fit in, of just feeling different and not included. I should really say at this point that this time round, it wasn't that I felt no nerves at all. I am human, not some sort of robot. I still noticed some old patterns bubbling up, like the fear of getting lost or doing something stupid, in terms of not being able to follow simple directions. The difference was I saw it, I could catch it. I could notice those thoughts, the thought people will think you're an idiot if you get lost. And I could acknowledge where it was coming from, where it was really coming from. And I was able to remind myself, no, you know, that's the old conditioning talking. My nervous system is trying to protect me. and sort of like talk to that part of me. I know it sounds a bit strange if you're not sort of familiar with that. And I could rationalize what that part of me was remembering and actually believe, like feel like I believed what I told myself. And with that, the anxiety eased. And I'm emphasizing I believed it and like felt it because so often people are self-aware, and you might be the same. I don't know. You might know that thoughts aren't facts. Maybe you've been taught to challenge them, but it still feels true no matter what you say to yourself. And that mismatch between knowing and feeling is huge at times. And usually it's because the root cause hasn't been touched in therapy. Basically, it's not been addressed, because when you address the root cause of all that, of your people pleasing on a felt level, as well as just knowing what's going on analytically and cognitively, that's when a real shift can happen, because you with that get that clarity you need to address the root cause of your people pleasing. So you're not just, for want of a better phrase, papering over it. You're doing something at such a deeper level that needs to be done. So your body feels safe enough to believe what your mind is telling it when you start challenging those thoughts. So in this example, I wasn't trying to tell myself, oh, stop overthinking, or, oh, what evidence suggests that that thought may or may not be true. My body believed what I was telling myself. And then with the anxiety easing, the excitement grew and I could enjoy it. And that's such an important point regarding the felt sense of it as well, because people pleasing isn't just a behavioural response from overthinking stuff or a personality flaw, fixed personality trait. It's a learned full body and mind survival response. When you've learned that being accepted and blending in keeps you feeling emotionally and sometimes physically safe, maybe because you know how it feels to be left out or rejected or criticised, your nervous system works overtime to make sure that that never happens again. So you fawn, you scan for danger, you overthink to protect yourself, you consider every eventuality or avoid certain situations, you shape yourself to be more acceptable, you keep everyone else happy to avoid the risk of rejection. You're doing what you can to keep yourself feeling emotionally, and as I say, at times physically safe. But that is just exhausting. And the more you do that, the more you lose that sense of like who you really are, because it becomes a mask that we wear. We're always on guard, making sure you don't say the wrong thing, wear the wrong outfit, stand out in the wrong way. And if I hadn't done the deeper work, I wouldn't have experienced and done what I did this weekend. And I'm not just talking about the volunteering, but I'll go on to that in a minute. To be fair, I probably wouldn't have even signed up for it in the first place, if we're honest. But now it's different. And there's a reason I'm sharing this with you. So it was different in the sense of getting ready. My biggest worry was whether the weather was going to change and what coat I'd need. Not what anyone thought of me. It was about remembering my ID to get my staff wristband. I walked in wearing my bright printed trousers, feeling excited to meet new people. I said good morning to the marshals that I met along the way, not to be polite, but because I wanted to, because I felt happy and content and wanted to connect to people. And when I got to the volunteers, I was present in the conversations instead of second guessing myself. And honestly, that in itself is bloody freeing, like so freeing. And then there was an even more freeing moment that really hit me. After my shift of therapy sessions, on my way out of the festival, side note here, I'd already decided not to stay overnight because I'm awful without sleep, and I now listen to my body too, so yay to that. But I wandered into the main arena because I thought I'll go and have a nosy, see what it's like. And part of me thinking it'd be a shame to leave without having had a dance, because I love dancing. And I was mindful as well not to put pressure on myself and force myself to go and dance, otherwise I'd have wasted the moment. I thought, let me just take this in for a moment and just see how I feel in a bit. And I was on my own. I was walking around like the heart of Creamfields, and instead of feeling what I might have expected in the past in terms of feeling exposed or awkward, being on my own, it's just like smiling to myself, like feeling grounded, noticed how good it felt to be there without needing a drink to relax or a group of people to validate me. And then I thought, I'm going to go and have a dance. Now, some of the music was a bit hardcore for my taste, so I found the Capital Presents tent, and it was still relatively early by festival standards, so not many people were dancing yet, but there was a lot of people in there. So I just stood there for a moment, just checking in with whether I felt safe, noticing my body, and I did feel safe. And I was like, oh, you know what, I'm going to dance. So I just started to move, and I must have danced, like proper danced, for about an hour. I was sweating at the end, but I was just so in the moment with my bag secure around me, my water in hand, just listening to the music and just moving. And past me would have been so self-conscious. I would have been dancing awkwardly, like you do when you feel like there's a massive spotlight on you and you're anxious. Or past me would have drunk so much just to feel confident enough to move in the first place, and then probably ending up dancing for attention or approval, not for myself. But this time, it wasn't about not caring at all. It was about caring more about how good I felt to just be in that moment than how it looked to anyone else. And it was like joy and just lightness and self-acceptance and self-trust, and it was just freedom was the word. When I was in that moment as well, I felt it. And yes, people probably did assume I was off my head on drugs or something, but the only thing I was high on was that feeling of freedom, because this is a feeling I went years without ever feeling, ever experiencing, a feeling so unfamiliar that when I first began my own therapy journey, it actually made me anxious when I felt it for the first time. And I'm talking about this feeling that I want you to know is absolutely possible for you too. And I'm not saying you're going to listen to this episode and you're going to start going raving alone at festivals, although if you do, amazing. But I do want to offer you some prompts to get you reflecting on how free you may or may not be feeling right now in your life. So if you can, just reflect on these. You know, where in your life are you still holding back because of what others might think? If you're really honest with yourself, where might you still be holding back because of that? What is one small act of freedom you could try? Even if it feels scary or silly or stupid, what might you try? And what would you do differently if you weren't managing everyone else's perception of you? And remember, it doesn't have to be a dance festival or a rave. It could be wearing an outfit you secretly love, but someone's made a comment about before. It could be styling your hair differently, or taking yourself out for tea, or trying that class you've been meaning to try for ages, booking annual leave just to wander around the shops, or speaking up in a meeting, or eating lunch alone at work without pretending to be busy so people leave you alone. Small acts like that can help just build up that sense of autonomy and a feeling of choice and self-trust, and each one is a step towards that bigger freedom. And obviously I know it's all easier said than done, and to take bigger steps sometimes we need something more, don't we? And that is why I do what I do, because I've experienced how liberating it feels, and because I nearly swore then, but because I bloody love what I do. And this is what my unlock method and my therapy, my coaching, my mentoring is all about. This kind of freedom, this real felt sense of freedom and acceptance in who you are and confidence that's authentic. It doesn't come from these quick tips that we see on social media all the time or surface level advice. It comes from understanding yourself, understanding what's really at the root of these unhelpful patterns of people pleasing, of fear of being too much, of feeling like you're not enough. It's about noticing and rewiring those beliefs that keep you stuck, of letting go of old rules, and of starting to own what you need and want and what you feel passionate about, really connecting with that and cultivating self-trust and confidence so you can show up in a way that honors the real you and keep building that authentic confidence and living life more on your terms. And that doesn't mean that you stop being kind to people. It just means that you start honoring you as well. So please know this. I went from being a girl and then a woman who overthought everything she did, who didn't know what she felt or what she wanted or needed, didn't trust my own judgment because I'd spent decades focusing on everyone else, what they wanted, needed, what their judgments were. I was a teenager and then a woman who often drank just to feel at ease socially, who spiraled about what to wear, who did ask everyone for their opinions on stuff before making a decision, who avoided new people and hid from being noticed, who went bright red at times, who wore a carefully prepared mask when I needed to perform or pretend that I was outgoing and I was at ease in myself. I went from that to now, as an example, dancing on my own in a tent full of strangers, probably 20 years younger than me, most of whom weren't even dancing themselves. And I'm sharing that not to say, if I can do it, you should be able to do it. I'm sharing it to remind you that freedom like this is possible. It doesn't have to look the same as mine. It won't look the same as mine because you are you and I am me. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's from a process of understanding, of unlearning and rebuilding at your pace, in your way, in a way that feels safe to you. But if it was possible for me after years of people pleasing and masking, then please know that it is possible for you too. I hope that's been reflective, insightful, giving you a bit of an insight to me anyway, hasn't it? As always, I am here if you did ever want to find out more about how I can help and support you. And just know, even if it's not with myself, through the right therapy for you that gets deeper than this like quick fix mindset hack surface level advice, if you need something more, change really is possible. And it starts with taking that one step to finding what works for you. And on that note, I will see you soon.